Good. Hi, I see the waves. Hello, everybody. Um, we are going to get started very soon talking about this book that has literally helped me so much with my anxiety and depression. I did it 6 years ago, and it has been like such a lifesaver. I honestly don't even know what the Midwest Center is, but I just know of Lucinda Bassett, who put this together. I was actually referred to it because I was on set when I was having really bad anxiety 6 years ago on a CBS show. And I was struggling, and my makeup artist could tell I was struggling. And she was like, I think you have really bad anxiety right now. And I was like, no, this is like, I know what anxiety feels like. And I just felt like, I don't know, I felt that I had something else wrong with me. And she was just like, I think it's important for you to try this book. She's like, I did it and I suffered from panic attacks. And she was like, I haven't had a panic attack since. So it helped her. And so I was like, let me try it. Hold on. Let me see if Frenshe can join one more time. So I don't know if you guys suffer from anxiety. Oh, hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. You look so cute, and I look like this.
No, I had a super early morning, so.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. Hold on, I'm just gonna turn you up.
Well, hi, everybody. I wanted to introduce myself. I am Ashley's social media director for Frenshe. So I'm between me and Ashley, we're kind of like the thumbs that you always see on the account.
Yes. Finally, we're meeting a Frenshe team member.
Yeah. We've both been doing these sessions and been having lots of conversations about it. So I'm like super excited.
Well, I wanted to set the tone. I was gonna light a candle because you know me, I love a good candle. It makes me feel so good. So, yeah, let's get into it. You obviously you have anxiety, right?
Absolutely.
I feel like everybody does.
I know, especially given the past 2 years too. I'm like, if you didn't feel like you had anxiety before, it's probably come up in new ways now.
Yeah, I honestly think that I feel like that's why I had to revisit this book because over the last 2 weeks, I was just like getting that feeling again of being really anxious. And I honestly think it's just been like probably 2 years of anxiety, like finally processing. And now that we're going back into kind of like going out more and seeing more people, it's just like caused me to be a little panicky. And so that's why I was like, I got to revisit this book because it helped me so much in the past. So yeah, hopefully it helps other people as well. I feel like we're in like a state of kind of hopefully healing from the past 2 years and like what we've been through.
Yeah, and I think doing this is like it's a really good time to do it, but also anxiety is something that I felt like I had to accept, like I am an anxious person, and it's like, how do I make myself more well equipped for when my anxiety is kind of like flaring up and when I'm in a more neutral state. So it's like always good to have like a resource like this to go back to when you start feeling those feelings come in. Been like,
Yeah.
I've done it before, I can get through it. Like, here's a tool that is really easy for me to do in my house.
I know, and that's so interesting because like I have a lot of friends that reach out to me and they're like, I've suffered from anxiety and depression, and they're like, what have helped, what's helped you? And I'll be like, oh my gosh, this book. And you just do 30 minutes every morning of reading or listening, really just listening to the CDs. You could listen to the CDs anywhere. But I mean, anywhere you have a CD player, like anywhere you have a CD player.
I know we're kind of going like a little bit old school, but it's
I know. Honestly, it's just like so crazy because it really does take someone who like really needs to work on it, because sometimes that scares people. They don't want to work on it, or they think it's too long, like 15 sessions. That's like a long time. And I'm like, how long have you suffered from anxiety? It's not going to like go away tomorrow. Like it's not going to go away. Like if you suffered from depression for 10 years, like that's not going to go away like super instantly. Like you do need to like work on yourself. And I think that is a version of self-love, like you have to love yourself enough to be like, I need to get past this and I want to. So
yeah.
I think that's the first step. And the fact that we're doing this is such good self-love for ourselves. So I want to start with session 1. And session 1 is really about your anxiety symptom and kind of teaching you what are anxiety symptoms and what are depression symptoms. So one of the things that I really thought was awesome was when I first started this book, I honestly had no idea. I heard about anxiety. I knew what anxiety could like be, but I clearly like I have more than anxiety. Like I think I have something wrong with my head. I think there's something health wrong with me. And when I picked this book and saw the symptoms of anxiety, I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm dealing with. So I was like, I don't feel so alone anymore. Basically, they say people who suffer from chronic anxiety complain of strong anxiety episodes, racing heart, chest discomfort, trembling, hot and cold flashes, feelings of unreality and disorientation, dizziness, scary, uncontrollable thoughts, depressed feelings, fatigue, feeling helplessness, panic episodes, muscle tension, migraine headaches, numbness in various parts of the body, and strange aches or pains. And the thing is that those cause even more anxiety. Like when I'm feeling that way, I'm like, oh, am I feeling this way? And so it's like, I think that it's just like a spiral because you feel anxious for a moment of something that's going on, but then you feel those symptoms, whatever those symptoms you obviously connect with. And then it's just like panic because you're like, something's wrong with me. And so it's good to know that those are the symptoms of anxiety. And one of the other things she says is a close relative of excitement. See, anxiety is not always bad. It's sometimes good. Like, I mean, obviously we have it for a reason, but there could be times where you're just like super excited and get anxious, like those butterflies. Like when I was going on stage to perform, I would get anxious, but that's like a good anxiety. I feel like when it gets bad is when it's disrupting your life in a way that's like negative. But she says anxiety can be best described in terms of worry, a general troubled or uneasy feeling of apprehension. For the person suffering from anxiety disorder, the worry is persistent and habitual, often initiated by unrealistic situations or thoughts. So that's just like, to me, I was like, okay, like this is now, I understand what anxiety is. This is what I'm suffering from. I never thought that it actually manifested in physical pain before. And so that was something new that I learned from this too. Have you ever had physical pain with anxiety?
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat as you where I was like going to all these doctors and was like, I have all these like other medical problems. And I thought I was experiencing anxiety because I was having these medical issues. And then I remember when I started seeing my therapist, I was like getting into those things for her, especially like around my gut issues. And she was like, that is something most of the people I talk to say. And a lot of it stems from anxiety and not the other way around. I mean, it's different with every person, but I was definitely in the same boat. And then once I started working on my anxiety, I noticed those things like gut issues and migraine and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff start to come down.
I know. It's so wild when it like how it's wild how powerful our brains are. Like how it can just do some crazy stuff.
And it's kind of such a beast because they go so hand in hand, like the mind and the body, in the ways that, I mean, we obviously aren't thinking about it all the time, but like it's all working together, whether for the good or the bad.
It's so true. Also, this book really points out, which is so me, people with anxiety believe that they need to get to a safe place. And she says, like, believe it or not, there is no safe place. Like, you are your safe place. And I used to be like, oh my God, I need to get to this safe place, which is usually my home or like being with my husband or a family member, because then I feel safe. And it's like so true. There is no safe place except for yourself. Like, that's just all in our heads. And so that's just like also important to know, because when you realize that, it's just like you are scaring yourself thinking that there's something else, where it's like you are your safe place no matter what.
Yeah, and it's like, it's really great when you feel comfortable in that too. It takes so much work, but there's like obviously real life situations where you can't go home. Like we've both talked about having anxiety attacks on planes and things like that, where you have to be able to like learn. Yeah, you save space for sure.
And breathing is so, like, the breath work has always helped me in any type of anxiety attack, and just being able to like calm myself down, which she talks about a lot in here. So she then gets into depression, and in some ways it is comforting to know that many great, successful, learned people suffered with depression. So that's important, because I know when I was suffering with depression, I just was like, oh my God, is this going to keep me from my goals and what I want to do in life? And it doesn't. It doesn't. It's important to know that like you are not alone. I think that in any, I think everyone at some point will suffer and have suffered from depression. So just know that. And that's kind of obviously why I, created this platform, Frenshe, is because it's like I want to make people feel not alone, and um, that we all suffer from this stuff, no matter who we are, what we do. And so I think that's important to remember. Um, but there are steps, obviously, that can help. And she talks a lot about how, which I didn't know, but anxiety and depression coincide with each other. So most likely, if you suffer from anxiety, you suffer from depression. And if you can get through to the stress and anxiety, you will relieve yourself from the depression, which 6 years ago happened for me. So, so yeah, I thought that was like pretty comforting to know that you can get through all of those things. Um, she says that basically the kind of depression that most often coexists with anxiety is driven by anxiety. A large number of people who suffered with anxiety disorders slowly become depressed to one degree or another. There are two very good reasons for this. Number one, anxiety disorders are depressing. And second, over time, the experience of panic, high stress levels, anxiety attacks, and lowered self-esteem and self-respect seems to lead the brain to reduce the amount of serotonin it produces. So basically, like, that amount of anxiety for a long time can just like dip your serotonin, which is why I'm feeling depressed.
Yeah, and like anxiety feels very, especially when you're in the very early stages of acknowledging that you have anxiety, it can feel very limiting to your life.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I was like, this is just like how I am as a person, I guess. And like, I would like envy my friends that maybe didn't exhibit their anxieties around me, even though like now I know basically everybody has it. And be like, why can't I just like, be more carefree about the things that were triggering me? And I know we talked about this recently. It's like you kind of get to a point too where you're like, I deserve to enjoy my life. And so kind of when you're in those early stages, it's really easy to feel depressed because you're kind of like faced with all of these big feelings and not really sure how to navigate it yet. And it feels like the good point you want to be at is here, and like you're all the way over here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so true. It's just pretty wild. It's like, I think that when I faced those feelings and I acknowledged the feelings that I had, I was like, oh my God, this is forever, and this is just how I'm going to live my life. But I didn't want to. So I was just like, okay, what can I do? And I think that that goes 0 to 100. So like if someone else is going to do something, I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm going to do this book. And I'm so glad that I did. Like, I really commit to those things, because I just feel like there's a reason why we're feeling these ways. So like, let's get to the source and figure that out, so then we don't have to feel this way, because we all deserve to live like a happy and healthy life. So before we leave session one, she has these cards, which are pretty awesome. And what she says is, I can't change the past. I can change my attitude. I can change my present. This condition is temporary. Knowledge is power. I'm intelligent, creative, and capable. I'm open to learning new skills. I'm proud of myself for the changes I'm making. It's just anxiety. And I love these little cards because it just like really, I don't know, just like uplifts you, I guess, and tells you that, you can, like, we're working on this and we're going to get through it, which is really nice. So on to session two. Session two is about panic attacks. My favorite. As you just said, like earlier, we have suffered from, I feel like anxiety attacks and panic attacks feel the same. And yeah, my first one was plane, and that was like not fun at all, because I've never had experienced one, and that's the scariest feeling. I got through it because I started breathing, and Chris reminded me just to do meditation. And he's like, I think because I didn't even know what I was doing. Like, I was like, oh my God, I have to get off this plane. He's like, I think you're having an anxiety attack. Because I just had fear wash over me out of nowhere. And I don't even know what I was thinking about, to where I was like so happy. I was like eating a snack and I was like, why am I feeling this way? So that was a scary feeling, but I used meditation to get me through it. And I just kept breathing and it like literally subsided. But it was so scary for a long time to get on a plane because of having that on a plane. I was like, oh my God, what if I have that again? Oh my God, what if this happens? So I use these tools in this that helps me, because yeah, I never want to have a panic attack on a plane again. And I have to travel so much. I mean, recently, obviously not so much, but you know, when you have to travel a lot for your work, it's like important that you feel comfortable and safe on a plane.
Yeah, I missed many flights too for that same reason.
Yeah, and it's like it's hard because it's like that's where I feel like that's when you have to deal with it, is when things like this anxiety starts to feel like you can't do things, getting in the way of you living life or doing something. I feel like that's like, okay, this is really time to deal with this, because we should not have to way doing things that we're expected to do.
Yeah.
So
I remember too, like when I first started having panic attacks, my dog's squeaking his toy over there. Sorry, everybody. It was something where it's such an uncomfortable feeling and so foreign the first couple times that it happened that I was so scared of it happening. And now it's kind of like you identify it and you can work through it a lot easier.
yeah, exactly. So what she says is panic and anxiety attacks. What causes a panic and anxiety attack? The answer is really quite obvious. You cause it. So we cause our anxiety and panic attacks. Nothing outside gives you a panic attack. You cause it, and here's how. After you experience external anxiety, you then become concerned with your body, feelings, and symptoms. You think about them to the point where you actually start to scare yourself. This creates internal generated anxiety. So just like what we were talking about before, something externally might cause some anxiety, you know, maybe sitting in traffic and you're like starting to like feel like, oh, a little anxious. But then because of how you start physically feeling, like I get like kind of spaced out and like feeling like, oh my God, something's wrong with my head. That's where you start to like internalize like something's really wrong with me. Oh my God, something's going to happen to me. Oh my God, I'm in a car. And it's just like starts to release chemicals in your body, and you are causing this feeling to just keep kind of spiraling to then cause you a panic attack. So it's important that a lot of the stuff that she gives us in this book, which are tools that can help you stop that spiral. So, because we'll always have like maybe some external anxiety, whether we're like getting ready for a meeting or we're in a meeting with people that we're like super nervous to like do, like, you know, pitch something, or, you know, excited to show something of ours. And it's normal to have anxiety, but it's, you know, just stopping the internal anxiety from getting us into like a bad place. So one of the things that she also says is that, let's see. She says, okay, so these are the tools that are important. Accept, that's a hard one, but accept, recognize that you're feeling anxious. So it's all about acceptance. Permission. Give yourself permission to feel anxious about whatever it is that's bothering you. Of course, I feel anxious because I'm sitting in traffic. Of course, I feel anxious because I'm on a plane. It's okay to have anxiety. So she's like, accept and have permission, then breathe. First, inhale through your nose slowly for 2 seconds, then exhale for 4 seconds, for 60 seconds. So that is what has always helped me in a panic attack, is breathing. So it's just like slow breathing and counting, and do that for 60 seconds. And then your inner dialogue, you want a positive inner dialogue to talk yourself through an anxious time. It will pass. Examples of dialogue might be, it's just anxiety, it will go away, I will not lose control. Control is a big thing with people who are anxious. She says distract, get busy, do something to release that like self-induced, you know, stimulation. Your body is in high gear, so don't just sit there. Either like walk, clean, do something that's making you like release that energy from how you've been feeling, and then let time pass. Those steps have completely helped me. And like I said, she has these little cards that just you can carry with you on like your wallet, and it says the same thing: accept, float, don't fight, permission, I know what this is, breathe, inhale 2, exhale 4, inner dialogue, positive, comforting, distract, action, mental and physical, for at least 15 minutes, let time pass, discomfort always passes. And I think that is just so helpful to have with me at all times, because if I'm feeling like a panic attack is about to come, this always helps. But she says exercise is extremely important for someone with depression. It produces obviously endorphins. So going for like a walk every day, or just like a hike, just moving is so important for someone who deals with anxiety, depression. It's just like getting out in nature. I don't know if you do exercise regularly, but I sometimes will get so busy that I'm like, forget to go for a walk. But it is so easy just to go for a walk for 5 minutes. And the more I do that, I automatically feel like so much better.
Yeah, even just like taking the time to like stretch, like during a really busy work day, I'll be like, I don't have that much time. I'm like, let me just take 10, 15 minutes to just like, even if it's a really slow pace, just like moving your body. I feel like it's really helpful. And then like, part of the reason Ashley knows I have a little puppy right now. Part of the reason I got the puppy too is like, he has to pull me out of my everyday routine to go outside, because it's very easy sometimes to get like stuck in the chaos of the day. And you have to kind of check yourself out for a couple minutes if you can, even if it's like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, to just be like, hey, I have to recenter myself a little bit.
Yeah. And it's especially for all of us who have been in our homes for so long and like working out of our houses. It's like it's just get outside, get outside of your apartment, get outside of your place, just go for a walk, like go to get some, I don't know, I was going to say coffee, but coffee also is like completely can make you anxious, but like I love coffee still. But just like get outside and like put on a podcast. It always just makes me feel so much better, especially when I'm dealing with stress about a project or something that I'm doing. Let's go outside, take a walk. Like it always just like calms down that feeling, because you become very present and distracted. And then you realize like, okay, this isn't so bad. We'll handle this. We'll get through this. So that is really helpful. But
yeah, also something about just going outside, even if you're just like standing outside for a couple of minutes, it just is such a grounding thing. It just, I mean, it doesn't even necessarily have to be outside, but I feel like that's the best place for me. But just get out of like your environment visually for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think like seeing visually something different and like even just looking at trees are just like very calming for me. So, yeah. Well, those are the first 2 sessions, and it's been, like I said, really helpful, because we're going to go through a lot of different sessions. There are 15, and I don't know, it really is just like, to me, helps ground me, and it makes me feel like I'm working towards something, and what I'm working towards is getting over my anxiety by being able to manage it. It's not that, it's going to go away. I don't think my anxiety has sushi. I don't think my anxiety has ever gone away. I just feel like I've been able to manage it better. Hold on 1 second. Sushi, get over
It's
here.
okay. Louis hears them barking and he's like, wait, who is see? I'll grab Louis.
From anxiety as well, so she is definitely tuning into these.
Here we go. Everybody's puppies are joining.
Yeah, now the puppies are joining the live. So I wanted to say, let's answer some questions. Are there some questions from you guys?
Yeah, also I saw some people asking what book we're doing on Frenshe Stories. Immediately as we get off of here, I'll relink the book for everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah, and just a note, you need a CD player for it, so.
Yeah, what I use, I don't have it. I use an attachment to my computer, and that is like so easy for, obviously, like, because computers don't have CD drives anymore. So that's how I do it. Or I had a car that had a CD player, weirdly, so I use that in the past as well.
Yeah. Also, if you have like a husband or a boyfriend, or you're a gamer, you can use their systems.
Yeah. One says what causes your anxiety. Oh, and what was that one? It said, how often do you have panic attacks and how do I
manage travel anxiety?
So I have to tell you, I'm not kidding you. This is like, listen, this book is not like we're doing an ad or anything. Like, I don't even know Lucinda. And like I said, I don't even know what the Midwest Center is. It just helped me. But I would say, like, ever since I did this book 6 years ago, I have not suffered a panic or anxiety. I've dealt with kind of flare ups of anxiety, but never an attack. So that's how much I love this book, and that's why I'm doing this. But I would say in the past, I had 2 panic attacks around the same weeks. I was on the plane, and one was in a meeting. And I think with travel anxiety, I'm not kidding you. This is really funny. You guys are going to laugh. But this is actually when I was feeling still anxious and through the idea of getting on a plane and like, what if I have? And especially like, when you're in the beginning of like sitting down and everyone's coming on the plane and like a lot of people, that like gets my anxiety like so ticked up. But you guys are going to laugh, but I actually distract myself with Candy Crush.
That's not a bad idea at all.
It's so good. I'm not kidding you. It has helped me so much. Even when I would have anxiety in a car, like if a car was picking me up or if I was in the car with my husband and he's driving and I'm not in control of the car, I would have anxiety. So I would use Candy Crush on my phone. And it's the easiest thing because it's distracting your brain. And that's something that like my therapist said to me was that whenever you're starting to feel anxiety, what you want to do is you just want to distract your brain to where you stop thinking that same thought or thinking on the spiral of those thoughts. And once you distract yourself, and with Candy Crush, you are so involved in that game, and it's just like such an easy thing. I don't know, for me, that has been like the biggest lifesaver for traveling.
Yeah, I think it's like I'm the same way where I'll have like situational anxiety, is like technically what I was diagnosed with. And so sometimes it's like a plane or a long car ride or something like that. And there are like certain moments in those where it is more anxious inducing for me than normal. So like when people are boarding on the plane and there's like that chaos and takeoff and stuff like that. So I've started like doing things that like in the similar realm of Candy Crush where it's like little pleasures. Like I'll save like a snack that I really like and like not eat it until the day I know I'm gonna fly, and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna have this, or I'm gonna start reading this new book that I haven't picked up yet but I've been really wanting to, so that I have like something pleasurable to like focus on to kind of help ease that. And then sometimes when I just kind of feel like the little flare-ups and I can't really pinpoint why yet, something that this book really teaches you and something that my therapist had taught me as well is that permission stage is so important, to be like, I am anxious. I understand that I'm anxious. Like, I know that this will pass.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's so important is that I know a lot of people say like it's hard to meditate, like especially if you haven't yet. But I'm not kidding you. Just get Insight Timer, get, the Calm app. There's apps for tons of meditation. And I usually do the ones that are like that talk you through the meditation, and it helps me so much. I think that if you're traveling, especially, it's so important to meditate, at least just for 5 minutes before you get even in your car, before you get ready for that, travel. It just sets up your day. And when I realize when I don't meditate is when I actually feel a lot more anxious throughout all of those things. And then I have to meditate to get me through an attack. So it's so important that you just do either a 2-minute, a 5-minute, you could do a 10-minute. But I think that meditation is key for someone who is dealing with anxiety.
Yeah, and something guided on an app is a really, really great place to start. I say that people with anxiety have something called pinball brain, where your thoughts are just like back and forth. So to have something in the very beginning, especially to help you kind of like recenter, is really good, because it is hard to quiet your mind when it's like not a practice that you're consistently in.
Yeah. I just saw someone say, I always think bad thoughts of myself and feel that people think bad thoughts of me. And how do you get out of these negative thoughts? I try to leave it, but I get so low and overthink everything. That is one thing that's super important for you. those negative thoughts, so someone who deals with anxiety and depression, you have actually like more negative thoughts than a normal person. A normal person has negative thoughts, but we start our day with like probably like way more. Like that's just like how it is. It's just like how we think. So the way to stop thinking about negatively about yourself and thinking that people are thinking negatively about you is to start to recognize the thoughts. Recognize you're having a negative thought and know that those thoughts are not real. Those are not real thoughts. Like anything that is negative towards ourselves or making us feel bad is not real and it's not helpful for us. Like that's all in our heads. That's like anyone, you thinking that someone's thinking negatively about you, it's like that is all just us, and we have to start treating ourselves with compassion and love, just like how you would with your best friend. That's one of the things that I've always been someone who like I've always told people that is that why do we tell our best friends, like we just act like, oh my God, if they're going through a hard time, what do? We comfort our best friends. We're like, oh my gosh, you're going to get through this. It's going to be okay. We're not like negative and mean and say horrible things to them. That's just not who we are. But why do we do that to ourselves? Like, why aren't we our own best friends? Like we should be, when we're feeling bad about something we did or don't think we did something perfect or feel like we failed at something, why are we so much harder on ourselves? Like we should be comforting ourselves, being like, you know what, you tried. You went for it, you did it, and you tried. And that is like amazing. Like, I think that self-talk is so important because it will help you in so much of life, because that is just like I said, an everyday person has negative thoughts, but people who suffer from anxiety and depression have so many more negative thoughts. And it's important to recognize the thought, fill it with a more positive thought, and you'll start to actually talk to yourself better, and that is going to help you so much more in life.
Yeah. Also in like social situations too, I've something I have to remind myself of is like everybody's human and everybody's like thinking of their insecurities in those moments too. And so that helps. And then also something that helps me cross the board with my anxiety is just being like, I deserve to like have a good time here. Like I deserve to enjoy my life. And so sometimes you have to be like, I'm just going to enjoy this social situation. Maybe I'll make friends, maybe I won't. And just kind of take that pressure off a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah. It's wild what we can do to ourselves. Well, I feel like, let's see, which self-help books are your favorite? Well, this one is my favorite, the one that I'm talking about, which is Attacking Anxiety and Depression. Another one of my favorite books is called Your Power to Heal. What's your favorite books?
It's one I just recently read that was a recommendation from my therapist, and it's called No Bad Parts. And I had gone through this thing that kind of resurfaced. I had COVID during Christmas time, same time around Ashley, and was stuck at home with my family for the holidays. And I was really at this kind of discovery of like looking at life, obviously, because I had COVID and just childhood and all these things, and was saying to her how like it's so crazy that I wish I could go back in time and like change certain parts, and then maybe I would be less anxious now or whatever. And the book is kind of all just kind of like how you have all these parts of yourselves, whether anxiety is just one part of you, it's not all of you, and kind of how to have those conversations with those parts so that you're always like the conductor of your brain.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a really good one because it's
I want to check out that book. That sounds,
yeah.
I'm always
It's helped me have a lot more compassion for myself, because I think as you go through this, you start pinpointing like things that have happened to you in the past or just growing up that have made you the way you are a little bit more. And it's sometimes really easy to be like, oh, I like just wish I could have changed that, but you can't.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's one of the things that she says. She's like, I can't change my past, but I can change my present.
Exactly. Yeah.
Another thing I just had seen was supplements, like what has helped. I don't feel comfortable because like obviously I'm not a doctor telling like people what to take. The only thing I would say is what I find to be really amazing is essential oils, and lavender is a big one. and it helps calm you. And I've been doing it actually over the last 2 weeks. I have like a diffuser and I put lavender in it, and just having that in the house like immediately calms me down. And like I was getting ready for a Zoom meeting and I was so nervous and anxious, and I just like put that on and no one knows because it's like they can't smell it, and it completely like just grounded me. So I feel like that really is helping. Lavender essential oil is a real, and you could actually even put it on your wrist. There's one that you can carry with you. That has really helped for me.
Yeah, me too. My diffuser's on like literally 24/7.
I love it. It smells like a spa, so like why not? Like it's so good.
And then people come over and they're like, your house smells so good. So it's like, it's just all around a plus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I feel like this has been a really good first session for our book club. I'm excited. Tune in every Saturday. We're going to be going through all of the sessions. We're also going to have some experts on as well. But thank you for joining me, Sam.
Yes, this was so fun. I'm so excited for you guys to see all the other sessions too, because it's really like such a good conversation, I think, for all of us to have together.
Yeah, and I feel like I said, if you guys want to grab the book, it'll be really helpful because I really do think that it will help you through anything that you're feeling right now. And I'm just kind of like in this mode this year on healing and healing from the past 2 years, and I feel like this is jump starting that. So hopefully you guys can tune in every Saturday at 9. And thank you for joining today. And I love you guys, and know that however you feel, we can get through this. Mwah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.